How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, Antoine. Thank you for having us.
No, like, thank you for being on. I was like, when, we were talking to Arthur last week about some magazine stuff and just touching basing how you all were during this situation that we're all in. And we kind of mentioned that I've been kind of filling my lunch hour basically doing this. And he said, oh, you should have, you should have us on. And I was like, ooh, you all are kind of like the royalty. So
Oh,
I was like, wow. I was like, if they're beyond, sure. So thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me for an hour and share your story with all of our viewers.
thank you. Thank you for having us. We're honored to be here.
Yeah. So from your perspective, I mean, how have you been doing, and how have you been coping with this situation that like I said, we've all been kind of stuck in and
Yeah, I'll let you
dealing with?
begin.
Yeah, we're just following all the procedures, Antoine, that we're supposed to, whether it be here in Miami at our home office. We have our whole sales team working from home. You can imagine how they're feeling now. They want to get out already.
Yeah.
And we continue working in Nicaragua. We've taken a lot of preventive procedures and that with what the doctors are requesting and the medical world's requesting, and everything's good. We've had an incredible quarter. Our retailers are supporting us. We're supporting them, and a lot of curbside, and things are good. We're blessed.
Yeah, and I know you do have a tight relationship with so many retailers. I mean, how are they doing? Because I don't think we kind of hear about it, but then we don't really focus on how they're having to cope with this big shift in business, basically.
I feel sorry for a lot of them because a lot of them, for example, in the city of Dallas, I think there's tremendous overreach from a lot of the local mayors where they're closing them and tell them they're not essential. To me, any business is essential when it feeds someone's family. So whether you're selling cigars or selling potato chips, it's important to everybody who works in those different types of professions. So with that being said, I think it's important that they all stay open and curbside. And a lot of the guys are doing fairly well, and a lot of them are really struggling. The ones that are closed are really, really struggling. I feel real bad for them. Rent never stops. Direct and indirect costs never stop. So it's a powerful pull for a lot of them. We're trying to support them as best as we can. But not only us, but our sales team has gone up. I even have salesmen who've offered to go out there and help them work and deliver and stuff. So we know it's a tough time, and it's a time we've never seen in our lives, and hopefully we'll never see it again. And I think with this curve and all this stuff they're talking about, I'm by no means a medical doctor. I think that when you have one state that's got over 52% of the deaths, I don't think you close the whole country down. And I think things are up for the better, and we're hoping that way. We're hoping our retailers can survive this. It's not easy.
Definitely not. Um, well, what I wanted to do with these kind of deep cuts is, I work with Tobacco Business Magazine, and I do some stuff with Cigars and Leisure Magazine. And, depending on what magazine you write for, I mean, the story is very limited in what you can talk about. So, what I wanted to do with these is kind of go a little bit deeper, but also not assume that some of these people know your story. Because I think that's always, an assumption that a company's been around for a long time and everybody knows everything about the company. They know the story. And really, I mean, there's so many new cigar smokers coming into the business. There's so many people who don't really know every brand out there. So just being able to hear your story from you rather than us just typing it out and putting it in words, I thought would be a valuable way to kind of spend some of this time where people have a little bit more time to sit around and watch videos and kind of listen to these stories. So I wanted to like I said, go back and kind of explore your story and just hear about how you all built up this great company. And I have like our Tobacco Business Magazine here, where this was last year, the July August issue, where you all were on the cover, and a nice cover story. And just for people who didn't see it, um, so I really wanted to explore parts of the story, like I said, but with you all like right here in real time. So um, I know the story kind of starts off with a very specific year, which I thought would be a fun way to kind of start this. Like, tell us about 1992.
Well, 1992, Nick, he had a vision. And I think in my article that you had done, I discussed that about, he was a former air traffic controller, and he was always hustling. He was always trying to provide and make better ways for our life, for our family. And he always loved cigars. He had a passion for cigars, and he wanted to, make those dreams and passions become a reality. But in no means was it easy, and it didn't happen overnight. So during that year, he started to make cigars. It was a roller, Nick, and myself, and we started out of our garage, and it was pretty amazing because we really had less than zero. It was really, but it was exciting, and there was nowhere to go but up. So it was, we were young and, had that American dream in our hearts. So.
And I was blessed. I had a great example from my mother and father. They were such hard workers. And my dad always told me that you live in the greatest country in the world, and if you work hard, you can attain anything you want. I never forgot that. And I saw as a young boy how hard my father had to work. My father worked 3 jobs till I got into my freshman year of high school. And I thought that was normal. And I went out to work when I was 11, whether it be dispatching papers for the Miami Herald or flipping fish at Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. I always worked. And I think that strong work ethic really helped me. And my dad was right. If you work hard, you can attain anything you want in this country. And we're certainly not smarter than anybody. We just worked very hard, and God was good to us. And we have great employees. And many of our employees that we started with are still with us to this day. So it's a blessing. So it's a very interesting story. It's, the American dream. But I highly recommend it. At the same time, I don't recommend it because it was a tremendous amount of work and risk. And a lot of people out here that know, whether you're a retailer or whatever you do, it's when you start a business, it's not easy. Everybody thinks, oh my God, look at how he's doing right now. How easy is that? They have no idea the sleepless nights, the risk, the amount of time you're away with your family, not knowing if you were going to be able to eat tomorrow, but you got to make sure you have to pay all your workers. Everyone who's been in business understands what I'm saying. So we're blessed that we were able to do it. And even to this day, years later, we're still working probably harder than we've ever worked. And the most important thing is that we love it.
Yeah, and what was the cigar industry like in 1992? I mean, we think of it now, and I think of cigar industry, and I think of like walking the show floor at IPCPR every year, seeing all the different companies, big, small, the retailers walking the aisles. So what was the industry like in 1992, though?
It was not as good as it was today. The great thing was we didn't have regulations and so much government overreach that we started facing in 2008. But I remember my first RTDA show in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had a little banner that said Nick Cigar Company, and I had some Polaroids that had blown up of my little factory on Flagler Street at the time. And it wasn't like it was, today, even though we've had great periods and we've had some downturns as an industry as a whole. But thanks to God, I mean, we've continued growing our business steadily from the time we started to where we are now. And I have to pinch myself. I never thought we'd be where we are today. I always dreamed that I could pay for private school for my children when they went through elementary school and then maybe through junior high school and through high school. And like Janine said, we started very meagerly with a cigar roller, an 800 directory. I couldn't even afford to make the long distance phone calls back in those days. And today, having a staff of over 4,000 people and being completely vertically integrated, it shows that my father was right, that if you work hard, you can attain anything you want.
Yeah, and what I like about your story is that, Janine from the first day is like front and center in the story too, because a lot of the cigar companies, I mean, the wives and the families have a big role in it, but they kind of get reduced, so that's just the spotlight is just on one person, and then you kind of lose, part of that story. So I thought it was interesting from what I've been learning about Perdomo is that, like I said, Janine is front and center. She was there in the beginning. She's here now. So I think that's a really cool part of the story, because I'm always interested in like the woman's perspective of the industry too, because for some reason there's a lot of the women have gotten shoved to like the back for whatever reason, yet they're like Janine, they're front and center really a lot of the times.
I think you hit it right on the head, Antoine. A lot of people, especially owners, it's about me, me, me. You know, it's like you go to an award ceremony and it's me, me, me. I'm a big believer in it's we and not me. And like we just won an award last year in Cigar Journal, and one of the things I said, I got to thank not me, but I have to thank the we, all the people that work for our company. And I always say that the greatest asset of our company is certainly not Nick Perdomo, it's our workforce. So it's important for me to push everybody ahead who's done it. And I have a phenomenal staff, um, whether it be my family or our workforce, not only here in Miami, but all across America and especially in Central America who have been with me. And one of the blessings that I have, I think where I'm lucky at is the average worker has been with our company for about 19.4 years right now.
Wow.
So when you have that longevity, it's great. Matter of fact, my two oldest salesmen actually passed away with the company. They didn't even want to retire. And I think when you run a company like a family, I think you stay as a family. Sometimes families work, sometimes they don't. In this instance, they work pretty well. So we're blessed. And listen, I couldn't have gone on the road and stuff like that if my wife didn't support me. And, you know, when I'm on the road, she's not making phone calls to people. She's out there, you know, taking care of the family and making sure work gets done. You know what I mean? So you got to pull the same way. And that's why family's so important to me. And, you know, it's my mother works here. She's 85 years old. She's been
Wow.
quarantined now because of her age. But, you know, she calls me every day and she wants to go back to work. You know, my son runs our sales division. My brother Billy is our rep in Southern Florida. He's been with the company for over 22 years. Done a phenomenal job. Keeps growing the territory. And the sales staff I have all across America, a lot of my competitors we're on very friendly terms. Will tell you that we probably have one of the best, if not the best, sales staff in the cigar industry, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of our Vice President Arthur Kemper. We just have look. I could mention names still till tomorrow if we want. We're blessed. We have such a great staff that works for the company.
When you were starting the company, I mean, obviously you learned some lessons about business and what works, what doesn't work. Um, you know, for those other people out there, I know everybody kind of at some point in their life have some kind of idea or inspiration and say, you know, maybe this could be a good business. Because I think everybody, to like I said, a certain degree wants that independence of owning your own business or having something that's yours rather than working sometimes for somebody else. So like what lessons did each of you kind of learn, you know, from that beginning day? Like if, like maybe you shouldn't have done it that way, or maybe you should have thought about it differently. What kind of lessons did you learn from basically being a startup in 1992 to being this big company now?
Well, first of all, you have to be able to take a risk and live with your decision and don't waver from it. That's a lot of things I recommend to younger guys who, like my son-in-law right now, is starting to be a developer. And he talks to me a lot and he says, "Hey Pop, what do you think I should do here? What do you think I should do there?" And I always try to give him my best advice that I can because I lived through it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of trials and tribulations. You know, you mentioned other people's paychecks. It's not necessarily bad having someone else's name on your paycheck. And you look at all those sleepless nights that I had talked about and the risk. But to start a business, to be an entrepreneur, you have to remember one thing. You live in the greatest country, and we have the opportunity to do anything here, regardless. My father came here from Cuba with the shirt off his back, couldn't even speak the language, and did very well in the United States. Everybody here has an opportunity. The problem is do you want to produce results or excuses? And most people, unfortunately, in this world produce excuses. And excuses are failure. And what you have to do is you have to have faith and you have to keep fighting and keep moving forward. So I always tell people, one, you're going to have to be willing to take a risk because it's a huge risk. You're going to have to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. And you're going to be nervous and scared a lot. And you're going to be able to handle the stress. And I think prior to me being in business, being an air traffic controller, I think I amounted so much stress in my life because I was doing both at one time.
No.
it wasn't easy, but I think, there's an old saying, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. But you really have to line yourself up with great people too. Because if you don't, you're never going to be successful. So it's very important on who you hire in the future when you start out, because initially you're starting out by yourself. And you really have to be pinpoint on who you hire, and you really have to look for loyalty. And loyalty goes both ways. We have to be loyal back. And I think that the secret of our success is we've been very loyal with our people, and in turn, they've been very loyal with us, and I'm thankful for that. So I've talked to a lot of kids, especially my son Nicholas, who's been in the industry here since he was a little kid. A lot of the retailers have known him forever. He was in that trade show since, I can't tell him, but he started there very young, working in the trade show, and really got to learn everything. And I never wanted to teach my kids. I wanted them to always blaze their path, but my son always wanted to be in the industry. My daughter Natalie is finishing up her second year of law school. We always need a lawyer in the family too, right? So I got both of them. My son got married 2 years ago to a beautiful girl, Lauren Perdomo, and my daughter married a rock star in Andrew, and she's my kryptonite. So we have a great family unit, and I got to thank Janine for raising the children properly while I was out there working. And she also did a lot of work, because believe it or not, it's not just about raising children, but all the internal work that it takes to run a cigar factory, the copious amounts of work with FDA regulation that she's in charge of, the facilities that we have. You have to remember one thing, we're a completely vertically integrated facility. We do everything from develop our seeds to even make our own staples, to select our own woods for our boxes. It's not just all the tobacco we grow and the curing and fermentation, the aging process. She overlooks a lot of that stuff. So when she won that award, that was an award that was well deserved. And it was well deserved because she just doesn't sit in cigar magazines and do ads. She's really in the pit working all the different aspects, whether it be here in Miami or Nicaragua. She goes out on the road with us when we're doing events to meet the consumers and everything. So there's a lot of different things that have to be done in the cigar industry. And I got to be quite honest with you, my son was a little angry. Someone said some other woman should have won it, which was very disrespectful to my son. Lucky I wasn't there. But this guy evidently doesn't know what my wife has to do to be in the cigar business. And on top of it, being a mother and a provider and raising children and so on, that's a hell of a job too.
Yeah, and when we did the awards and we opened it up so it's a nomination, because we didn't want it to be just us picking people and people saying, oh, you're just picking your advertisers, whatever. So we opened it up to everybody, and you all, obviously you landed in 2 or 3 different categories. And for me, I'm on the digital side of the magazine too. So I had to set up the awards to make sure it runs okay. And I usually try to set it up and then not look at it, because so many people start from the industry. They send me an email or a text and say, how am I doing? I'm like, well, we're not going to really say. But for what I saw on Facebook, I was like, Janine's going to win this, because every day, when you all would push it and you all announce it, people would not only say, I'm voting for Janine, but they would put why. And I don't know if you saw it, Janine, but all the comments that people said of why, they're like, she's like my mother, or, she checks in, when somebody in my family was sick, she reached out to me and she's, spoke to me and stuff like that. And even this morning, I had somebody reach out to me and say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you're going to have the Perdomos on. And they said, Janine took that time with me when I was just getting into cigars, to kind of talk to me about the whole process and talk to me about cigars. So to me, that says, like you said, a lot. You may not have gotten the recognition in the past, but people have noticed. So it's they were just waiting, I guess, for this moment for you to have the spotlight moment. So we were all excited on our end to for people to recognize you. And like I said, to see all those comments. And I wish I was able to just capture all those comments to read them out to you, verbatim. But for you, what was it like to have this moment where you're just oh, I'm, nominated for Woman of the Year? What was that like? And then to actually be named the Woman of the Year?
Yeah, no, that's extremely humbling, overwhelming. I was shocked. I was so sorry that I couldn't be there to accept it, because Nick and I were in Nicaragua. However, I was equally pleased that my son was there, because for him to receive it on my behalf was just as great.
Yeah, that speech of my son brought tears to our eyes, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But it was, in my opinion, it was very deserving.
Yeah.
And people in the industry knows what my wife, especially the people in the industry for 20 plus years, 30 plus years, know how hard a lot of the women and most of the women work in the cigar industry, because I could say every woman that was nominated was deserving of it. I could be a little biased. I think that Janine was the one that was most deserving, but it was the award that the company, if they could win any award, that would have been the award that we wanted to win. Listen, we've been blessed. We've won a lot of awards with all our different cigars, and we're due one from you guys pretty soon. So we'll get one here sooner or later. But I love the way you guys do it through the fans, and I like the way Cigar Journal does it through the fans, not through a panel of 3 or 4 guys. You're really getting to see the whole thing, and I think she's very deserving of it. We as a company, we're proud of it, and as a family, we're even more proud of it. So it was great, well deserved.
Yeah, I was very honored to be nominated alongside such amazing women too. I mean, and I really appreciated they came out, reached out to me, congratulating me as well, which I thought was very nice, especially Karen Berger. She's just a doll, and she's just a great woman. She works very hard, and she's been through a lot as well.
Oh yeah.
So.
There's a lot of women out there that have been hard, and being the wife of a cigar maker is not the easiest thing with the amount of travel we do, not only between our facilities, but also traveling all over the country. I have millions of miles on American Airlines because we travel. And the consumers want to see you, the retailers want to see you, and I want to see them too. It's one of the best parts of my job is going out there and visiting the cigar stores, and not only visiting our retailers, but seeing our consumers and doing these great Perdomo events that we do all over the country. And I know our sales team loves doing it too. So it's a blessing for us. It really is.
Yeah, but so off of that, I mean, what's it like right now not being able to travel and kind of being grounded for a little while, and then not having like an idea or a date where you can say, well, after this date, things will be okay. I'll be able to travel. We'll plan out these events, and kind of having this pause and like not have that interaction with people like you usually do.
Honestly, right?
Yeah.
It sucks. I'm a road warrior, and I've already canceled 8 flights.
Wow.
America called me up yesterday, first time in so many years I've been flying with them, and said, "Hey, we're concerned about you and your family." I thought it was very nice of them, whether you believe it or not. I thought it was really, really, really great of them to do that. And they said, "Listen, we're going to extend your executive platinum status till the next year, no matter how much you fly this year," which I thought was really nice. And we're going to try to work on all these, because I have so many back-to-back flights that I've had to cancel that I've gotten credits for. Literally, I'd have to fly from May 1st on literally every week to be able to use all those flights. And I don't think it's fair that anybody would have to lose them. So they said they were going to try to extend it for another year. We hope they can do that too. And I really believe that the president was talking about just recently, and all the health people. I think in about 2 weeks, we should be getting back to work. We've seen even states like Louisiana who've had some of the highest percentage. They've opened up. If you look at the 8 states that didn't open up, they all had one thing in common. They had very few deaths, thank God, and nothing ever grew with them. Going out to work. I know that our governor here in Florida has done a great job, and he wants to get everybody back to work. It's a sad thing, and the thing that worries me the most is, we have Chris that's the head of our shipping department. A friend of his at church had a small business, and he's been closed for 4 weeks, hasn't collected one penny. And he thought he was going to be a burden on his family. He actually committed suicide last week.
Oh, it's
and
terrible.
The media that, but the depression and the amount of suicide that's going on. I was talking to Nelson Cuba, our head of operations, and the suicide hotlines are getting like 3,000 times the amount of calls they've been getting on normally around the United States alone. And it's no different than when the stock market crashed, where a lot of people were taking their lives. You can imagine people have to live. And a $1,200 check that's been printed money is nice, but that's not going to take anywhere, people really nowhere. And you really have to look, and we got to be smart and look at where, you take, a great state like New York that has the bulk of it, and then you take a state like Alabama or West Virginia or even Florida for percentage wise, where it's minuscule in reality. Um, Maybe you should start opening up these states. I could be wrong, and it's just my personal opinion. I don't mean to ruffle anybody's feathers, but it's easy when you're a government official making a paycheck nonstop, like a Nancy Pelosi saying that we can wait till next January. Well, it's easy for her to say it, but talk to Barney down at who's a waiter now who hasn't collected a dollar in 4 weeks. If he can wait till next June, he's going to starve to death. And we've been trying to be active with our local restaurants in Miami by ordering food. Even though my wife's a great cook and we got plenty of groceries and she likes to cook, but we did a Good Friday thing. We went to one of our favorite restaurants. We brought a bunch of seafood. We've gone to some of the steakhouses. Now been turning into butcher shops to try to sell their meat off because they're struggling. And we've been trying to be as proactive in helping. I called a buddy of mine who was a waiter and said, "How you doing?" He said, "I'm doing okay." I said, "If you need anything, give me a call. I can always shed a couple $100 to help him out for the week or whatever he needs." I mean, you feel for these people because listen, we've all struggled. When I started in business, there was a time there where I called my father up, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. And I mentioned on Hand Roll the movie, and I said, "Hey, listen, Dad, I'd like to eat dinner at your house." He said, "Well, you're my son. Of course you can." I said, "Dad, I'm not asking you to eat dinner today. I'm asking if I can eat dinner at your house for like a month or two. I'm completely broke. I'm paying all my employees, but I'm struggling because everybody in business goes through the struggles, Antoine, like we were just talking about earlier." So um, I feel for the people and what they're going through right now. And we need to get our country back and get it rolling. And in the areas that are really affected, maybe we should start handling those guys a little bit differently, be a little more stringent with them. But a lot of these states that have, minuscule amounts and stuff, maybe we should start opening this up a little bit. And I think most of the American public agrees with that. If not, we're going to have an implosion in our economy. And I worry about the people, like I said earlier, with the suicides and so on.
Yeah, and specifically like in the tobacco industry, I mean, and just in your opinion, I mean, what do you think we can do to help, especially the retailers, because the retailers are really the crux of everything that we do. I mean, without the retailers, you don't have a place for your cigars, you don't have a place to drive consumers. I mean, they're really such an important part. And I know that different companies I've seen have stepped up and have been trying to help. I mean, PCA has been great about releasing news constantly about COVID-19 and how people can apply for loans. And Nat Sherman has done what they can to support curbside. But what can we all do, whether you're a manufacturer or just a consumer, to help
I can tell,
the
I can
retailers?
tell, I can tell you what Perdomo's doing. Not only we really helping on curbside, we went and we had a tremendous special that we've had going on, and it's a special where we're basically um, making very little margin. And the reason we're doing it is to try to help the retailers so they can make more margin because they're struggling. We've had our salesmen go out and actually try to help retailers. Like I said earlier, we've been in constant contact with all our retailers, not only to see how they're doing and how their families are doing, but how we can assist them in their business. And you have to remember, a company like ours, it started from the ground up. The retail community is super important to us because over 82% of our business is in brick and mortar. Online and catalogs, they're very important to us, but they're a small portion of our business because we started out with the retailers. None of that ever existed when we started. And those guys really took us to the dance, and I feel for them. So I have a lot of retailers in the industry that we consider friends, very good friends, and we check up on them and see how they're doing and how their families are doing and so on. And a lot of them have asked me, "Hey, can you go on my Zoom? I want to try to publicize my store." I've done so many of them, and I'm out reaching out to guys trying to do them. I'm going to be in Thursday at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. I'm doing a big Zoom cast. They're going to have 100 guys on for Open Door Cigars, Brian and Sharon Waters, who are great retailers in the Arkansas area, and trying to support them and trying to build the spirit up again in the cigar industry. And I always tell people on my social media site, please support your brick and mortar guys. These guys are struggling. They pay high rents. They have many employees they're still paying. They have employees they might have had to furlough because they just couldn't. and we have to support them and forget the 40 cents a cigar. Just remember, one day if you don't have them, where are you going to be at? And it's important to support all our local brick and mortar stores, whether it be a cigar retailer or a restaurant or anything. We gotta take care of these guys that really struggle.
It's very hard for them, and I do a lot with the accounting, and some of them are, some people are just, they're continuing quite a bit of business. Others aren't, and they need a little help. So we're doing the best that we can.
And know your rights too. You are essential. We just had a store in South Miami. The police came in and shut them down. I don't understand why the police are trying to close down businesses. They should be closing down rapists and murderers. And they're going in there, and the guy said, "Look, I know my rights." He called the city manager. His brother-in-law was an attorney. And non-essential doesn't mean a cigar store is non-essential. It's essential to them. And they called the mayor up, and the mayor said, no, they can stay open, but they have to do curbside. I think a lot of people are closed not knowing that they could probably stay open if they want to stay open. So I urge the retailers to really know your rights and look at this, and don't close your stores if you don't have to. Even if you can get 10 or 20%. You look at a guy like David Garofalo, who's he's like one of my heroes in the cigar retail business, and he's like my brother from another mother. But you look at David, every morning he's on Facebook publicizing the store. We're open, come on in. And he's trying to build his business. He hasn't, he's got his workers there working. He's doing it. And that's why the guy's been in business for 30 plus years, because he's going to make do no matter what the situation is. And I think all of us have to do the same thing. I think it's super important.
Yeah, I mean, and just what you said and some of the comments that we're getting in, I mean, the importance of having like a moral compass, in this industry, because I don't think that gets talked about a lot either. I mean, if you're a company who's just looking at your bottom line and just doing whatever to make money, I mean, I think you're going to have a shorter span of life and success. But like having that moral compass, like you said, and being humble like you are, I mean, just talk about the importance of like I said, putting morals and family values first before the usual business, before just making money, making a profit. Why is that important in today's industry, especially?
I said, God always pays you back. And it's like us, we did a big thing in Nicaragua, and we really haven't had any cases. We've had 3 in the whole country, and all 3 were 4.5 hours south of us in Managua. And I asked our workers if they wanted to close or stay open. We have a large facility. We have almost 900,000 square feet of building space. I said we would move things so we could do our social distancing away from everybody. We'd be able to measure everything up. Would people like to continue working? It wasn't 100%. It was 100. It was 110. I mean, everybody said, please let us work. Because you got to remember, by Nicaraguan law, if you close the facility down, you still got to pay them anyway, because they have 2 extra weeks of vacation, so on. So everybody's getting paid in Nicaragua. And I know my friends in the Dominican Republic are paying their people, in Honduras too. And with that being said, if they work, they make more money. So I think our employees were very, very happy that we allowed them to work. We have a doctor on board. We actually check their temperatures in the morning as they come in. Not easy. When just on the rolling side of the compound, we have 1,789 workers working there. We're taking temperatures of all of them. We take their temperatures at lunchtime on chow break. We take their temperatures. We take their temperatures when they leave. And if anybody has any temperature spike, we're checking them. And our workers are important for us. They're really our greatest asset. So there's a lot of great spirit in the cigar industry, and there's a lot of great people that do things. I can't think of a cigar company that's been out for a long time that hasn't fed their employees. And on Christmas, I know I can speak for myself and a lot of the companies in Nicaragua, especially like my friend Del Fernandez, a lot of the great guys out there that we bring extra food in, and we give them Christmas presents. And what do they want? They want food. They want their rations. They want this and that. And the cigar companies always, the good cigar companies always come through. And there's a lot of great spirit, and especially a lot of the seasoned vets out there that really take care of their employees. And that's why they've been around in business so long. Yeah. It's not about throwing a cigar on a wall and hoping it sticks and what's new. It's about something that's going to take you to the next level. You know what I mean? I don't know, the industry's weird sometimes. I never want to buy the newest model of the car because it's probably going to have some defects. I want sound products. I want Coca-Cola. I don't need strawberry diet flavored Fanta. And I think the retailers are seeing that, and I think that's why, and our brands, whether it be Perdomo Habano, Champagne, Lot 23, these brands have all been 16, 17, 18, 19 years in the making money for our retailers, enjoyment for our consumers, and keeping our families fed here at Perdomo. So we've really been blessed, but I'm proud of the spirit from our fellow competitors and ourselves.
And just talk a little bit about building these brands, because I think you just touched on it, but I'm always interested in the process that it takes. And you have a lot of brands that have been in the market for a long time. So like you said, they have a reputation, but how do you even approach, like, from concept to final, execution? How do you build a cigar brand today?
Well, I must not be that smart. Some guys come out with a new brand every year. It usually takes me between 3 to 4 years to develop a brand. It takes a long time. It's not only what that cigar is going to taste like and what you want it to taste like, because you have to forecast that with tobaccos as they're evolving. One. The second thing, you have to figure out the sizes and shapes that people are going to want to smoke. So a lot of the input comes from you, the retailer, and our consumers. When we ask a lot, salesmen always ask, "What do you like? What is?" A lot of times we're getting that input so we know what we're going to do in the future for certain lines. And then you have to have a strategy in saying, I'm going to sell so many cigars this year, so many cigars next year. And when I come up with a brand, I want a brand, unless it's a limited edition because I only have so much tobacco or so on, that I want a brand that lasts for 100 years if I can. And we're blessed with those sound principles and strategies. We have brands like Perdomo Reserve Champagne that's going to celebrate its 20th year. Or, we came out with, we even had an anniversary for it almost 10 years ago where we had called it 10-year champagne. We still have it. And, we've been really blessed where you got Perdomo Habano has been in the industry for 17 years. You got Fresco's been in the industry for 19 years. You have Lot 23, it's been in the industry 20 years. I literally have a big portfolio of cigars that have been around, and they're time improving brands. And one of the things that I'd like to say to the retailers, I was just doing an event prior to all this, and I was in South Miami with a friend of mine, just sitting in the lounge, and a guy recognized me. And we started talking, and he said, "I love your cigars. I've been smoking them for 20 years. Do you have something new?" So we have how we have all our stuff merchandised in the stores around the world, and he had a beautiful display of our stuff. And I took one of our oldest brands. I said, "You ever smoke Perdomo Reserve Champagne?" He said, "No." And I said, "Look, let me tell you something. In every portfolio of a brand, everything is new to somebody. But how about this? This is a brand that's sold in its lifespan probably close to 100 million cigars, and it's still growing. Wouldn't you like to have something with that track record?" And the guy said, "Absolutely." I said, "Give that a shot," because it was new to him because he never smoked it. And I think salesmanship, and I think in the future with the retailers, they're going to have sound product that's good from a reputable manufacturer, and it's new to somebody. If you look at this portfolio behind me, I guarantee you that 90% of the people haven't smoked 50% of these products. So something's new to somebody. But one guarantee is when you have a brand that's been out in the industry for decades, those are brands that are going to sell and continue selling because the consistency of not only the manufacturer, but also of his tobacco and his strategy to continue that brand propelling forward for our retailers. And I think that's pretty much one of our biggest secrets. And it's been pretty much our claim to fame. And not only that, but our support of the retailers. And I'm proud to say that the bulk of my business, over 80%, is with the brick and mortar guys. And we try to be as protectionist as possible. I had a guy just recently say, I'm in this particular state, I don't want to mention it, but you don't sell to this store, but you sell to the store down the street. And why don't you sell to that store? And I said, because the store down the street has been carrying my brands for 23 years. And the guy that moved across the street from him was an actual customer of his who decided to build a store right next to him. And by doing that, everything that guy supported me, all I'm doing is cannibalizing my brand and cannibalizing his business by doing something like that. So that's why we don't sell to that guy. So there's all different types of strategies that the company does. And Janine does it too. She looks at zip codes and makes sure with our software that we're protecting not only our brands, but we're protecting our retailers. And I think that slow and steady climb and doing things right whether it be the top quality of our products and construction, the proper salesmanship, to protecting our retailers. I think it's been our secrets of our success.
You know, like I said in the article, our mission statement is do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. And I think that we've used that since our day one, and we carried that through, and we always will, because we want to treat people the way that we would like to be treated, whether it be our customers, our employees, any of our business partners. We want to treat people the way we like to be treated.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great point that you made too about, you know, this mentality that the industry kind of got in at some point where every year you need to release something new. And it's exhausting because you never have time to really get to know or move your way through the portfolio, because every year up until like a certain point, I mean, thanks to the FDA, I guess the only good thing that it's kind of slowed that down a little bit, where we're focusing on, like you said, the ones that are like proven sellers. But every company has certain cigars that there's no way every consumer has smoked through everything. And I know, like for me, like Perdomo is like the Lot 23 is my favorite Perdomo cigar. So, and I've seen other people have been chiming in about their favorite Perdomo cigar while you all have been talking. But you know, that idea of, like you said, just exploring a brand, like don't get stuck on just one cigar or one facing in that company's you know, portfolio. Like be willing to try everything, because you might find something that you haven't, that's been around for a long time, that you just haven't, you just, because of your own bias or whatever, you just chose to overlook it.
And one of the things I'm proud of too is the work Janine's done with the FDA with grandfathered product. We literally have notebooks upon notebooks between 8 and 10 inches thick of grandfathered products that we've come to the table with, not only with the amount of monies that we've had to spend with these egregious laws, but we've done them because we follow the law. But she's done a phenomenal job registering all our grandfathered products and our SCs and everything. And we're here for the future, and we're here for our retailers, and they can be rest assured the brands that they sell from us, along with other reputable manufacturers, they're going to be able to continue selling them. I don't like the law, but we got a little brief where we've got to extend a little bit, but the hammer's going to come down here pretty soon. But she's done a phenomenal job. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the grandfather product and all the work that it takes and everything.
Yeah, it's taken quite some time. We've been starting registering our grandfathered products since I think 2016. One SKU can take 2 years to get approved, and we have quite a few that are approved, and I have even more in the pipeline. And then making substantial equivalents, that's the next step, which we're ready to do. I'm not excited about it, but in a way, maybe yes, because it just solidifies, you know, what you see behind us and other products that you'll have tomorrow and in the future, God willing.
And our retailers can be rest assured that it's safe to sell the products because we're doing everything above board. We do have 2 new products that are coming out. They're grandfather products. We're coming out with the new Perdomo Reserve Sun-Grown and the new Perdomo Reserve Maduro. We wanted to showcase that at the PCA show. We've actually had the cigars. They were made in 2019. And initially, I wanted to bring that product out in February because the cigars were done, but due to everything that's been going on, our partners in Holland, Brydag, our packaging specialists have taken a little bit longer because they've had to close their facilities. So we're hoping to showcase that at the show if we have it, and we hope we do have it, and we're going to support the show. But it's something that we're excited about. It's one of our new brands that we haven't had in a long time. That brand, you know, we started selling that brand in 2000. So we're bringing that back, and it was very popular, and we have some incredible tobaccos to match it. So we're going to come out with that. That's something new. So it's, you know, look, I think that the retailers have a lot on their plates as it is. We ask a lot from them. A lot of them do it, and it's been successful on both sides. So when we come up with new stuff, we trickle it out. My next project is probably going to be down the pike in another 2 years. It's our Perdomo 30th anniversary. which we did register it also. And but that'll probably be the next one. So normally Perdomo, it takes us 2 to 5 years to come out with a new brand. And I think we have plenty of SKUs and we keep growing. So our retailers are doing a phenomenal job. All our partners that sell our cigars around the world are doing a phenomenal job. I just don't want to keep coming out with new stuff. One, I can't do it because I haven't figured that out. How you keep coming out with new brands every year. And the shelves can only hold so much. And I know the retailers are struggling as it is. So we bring everything little by little, and everything is only in 5 SKUs. We take the 5 most popular sizes on everything. And, you know, we're big believers in 3 different types of wrappers. That keeps everybody in the portfolio. So if someone likes, for example, the Perdomo 20th anniversary, he can go from the Connecticut where it's more creamy. He can go to a sun-grown wrapper, which is a little spicy and earthy. And if you want something a little sweeter, you can go to the Maduro wrapper. So if he loves that blend, that wrapper will impart a slight change where he can enjoy that cigar and still stay under that portfolio. I think that's been one of our successes too by doing that. You know what I mean? People don't get bored with the product. They can always evolve with it and still enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like how you all a couple of years ago kind of tweaked the design of some of your bands, because I know when me and Ben visited your office maybe 2 years ago, you know, Arthur kind of took us through his design process and showed us. He's like, hey, we want to, you know, same blend, same everything else, but just give it like a little bit of a facelift, like branding wise. And I don't think a lot of companies think about that either. I mean, there's ways to kind of bring life to your older products. You know, you don't always have to. It doesn't have to be new.
Yeah, you're spot on with that, Antoine. And you know, the shelf talkers are basically mobile salesmen, and they tell you everything about the brand. So if the retailer happens to be busy with another consumer, this does the job for them. Believe it or not, these are even UV protected, coated. They're varnished also against humidity, so they always stay perfect. They even have fold lines where you can fold them. If you have a glass case, they'll fold flat, or if you have a walk-in, they'll have a slight little decline like you see there. So it's all about helping the product propel in the retailer store, and it's been working for us.
You know,
and I think cigars is special. And you know, a lot of times when we come up with packaging, we don't ask our guys. We bring all the women over and say, "What do you think of this?" You know, a lot of people misjudge women. When I do an event, a lady comes over and wants to buy a box of cigars, I try to sell her my best. I know that 73% of the American household is run by women. And I don't understand why you want to try to sell them a strawberry flavored cigar. To me, it's almost like an insult to a woman. And I'm married to one, and she likes good cigars, and I think a lot of ladies do, just like a lot of men do. So I always ask people what they like. I went to an event one time, and a guy said, "You want a chocolate cigar?" And I'm like, and you could see the woman was angry about it. There are a lot of ladies that, yeah, it's offensive. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, because you know, when I'm speaking to a lot of the female cigar smokers, I mean, that's what they said. They said, please don't assume. And that's the biggest issue. You always assume that I like a smaller cigar or I like a flavored cigar. So like, that's not, you know, that's not the case. And I think that's probably why you all too have had such a long, you know, history in the industry, because you haven't assumed and you haven't limited yourself like some companies have. I mean, to your how you market and how you speak to the cigar smoker. So I think that's a great point that I hope other companies who are listening to this and just other retailers kind of think. Just, you don't have to worry about, just like I said, ask the cigar smoker, regardless of their gender, what do they like to smoke, and go from there, rather than assuming because it's a woman that, you know, I think sometimes they even see a woman come in the store and they're like, how do I even approach her? What do I say to her? Well, just treat her like everybody else, you know?
Yeah, I think when in that article you had asked me certain things about like being a woman and how it was too in the industry in the beginning, and yeah, women were very overlooked, not by my husband obviously, who gave me strength to do whatever I wanted to do and to help propel the business. But I'm saying other people that, you know, like they would say, so anyways, how do you ferment this cigar, and what is the process? And then I would tell them, and you know, I had to really earn their respect I mean, I've lived this. This is our life. I'm around it all the time. I know about these things. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I don't. And that's a sad thing. But, you know, one person at a time, you can change things.
Yeah, one of our most senior sales people is Sharon Giordini, who works in New York, New Jersey area, and she's been with us for 23 years. And I remember in the beginning working with Sharon years ago, I would get angry at how the men would treat her. So angry one time I was in a Davidoff shop in New York, and I told the guy I would produce bodily harm if he treated her like that again. My mother's a woman. I have a lot of respect for ladies, and there's a lot of great women retailers all across the nation. It's a pleasure to work with them, and you have to respect everybody, like you said, Antoine. And ladies do hold the purse strings in the budget, and they do smoke good cigars, and they buy good presents. And I think it's a slap in the face offering, a cherry flavored cigar if they're actually, they enjoy good cigars. You don't judge a book by its cover. And I wouldn't trade Sharon for two men. So, I mean, it's regardless of whether it's a woman or a man, there's great ladies and women that are, yeah, I have a very unique situation.
Yeah.
That's a great point. You can bring that up.
Yeah, Sarah Gonzalez, she's our factory manager. She's amazing. She's been in the industry for how long?
Since 1965.
Yeah, and she's a woman, and she deals with all of the rolling room and the production. And let me tell you, that's not a hard job.
Yeah, you got the 420 rollers in that room, and she runs it like a whip. She does a great job. She's loved and respected, which is a nice thing. And we're one of the few facilities in the world that actually has a lady running the facility. But again, I wouldn't trade it for five guys. So it just depends on what you have. You know what I mean? I have a lot of women running different divisions because they do a great job. A lot of people come on our tour always like scratch their heads. I've never seen that before, but yeah, if you're not thinking, you're not thinking. You know what I mean? So women do a phenomenal job in the cigar industry. That's for damn sure.
Well, thank you.
That's great.
I mean, we have a few minutes left, so I mean, to people who haven't had the pleasure of speaking to you all in a while, and maybe because of the coronavirus we're expecting to speak to you. I mean, what message would you just like to leave with us to kind of tie us over to our next real encounter?
Well, I'll start off by saying, we miss being near everyone and sharing a cigar and a hug. But I believe those days will be back very soon, God willing. And just to, keep smoking. You can still enjoy your cigars. Maybe not in your normal cigar lounge or what have you, but, still trying to find the time to enjoy it and take advantage of these opportunities like we're doing today, where even though you're not physically present with your friends or, other people, you can connect this way. And it isn't the same, but for now, we just have to deal with it. But I really do see something great on the horizon. I think as Americans, especially, I think that we'll take something bad and make it good. I think there will be good things regardless that can benefit. What do you have?
No, I concur with that. I think the American spirit is strong, and I think we're gonna bounce back. I think the president is correct. I think we're gonna have a boom again. I think we're Americans. We're gonna fight through it. We're gonna be strong, and it's gonna be a V-shaped thing. I believe. I believe in America, and I believe in our retailers, and I believe in our country. And I just like to say that I miss all the retailers. I miss all the consumers. I miss all the store managers and sales clerks and being out there in the stores. We got a special day, and in 10 days, less than 10 days, my wife and I celebrate our 31st wedding anniversary. And we love the business more than we've ever had. And I just like to not only thank Tobacco Business and you, Antoine, for having us on, but I'd like to thank all the retailers for all their patronage, for all the years that they've supported us, and the best is yet to come. And we're going to keep fighting through this. We're going to be better for it.
Yeah, and our Perdomo Army, we love them.
We do.
Yeah, well, I want to, thank you both because you have been not not only supportive of our magazine, but the industry. And I think, like I said, all the comments that have come through kind of show that. So, you know, I thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day just to kind of speak with me and to share your story with everybody else. And like I said, we want to thank you for your support and just for being you all. So early congratulations on the anniversary. And like I said, I look forward to our next face-to-face encounter whenever, hopefully that'll be soon.
I think in 2 weeks we're going to be good.
Yeah, we're thinking May 1st will be hopefully a turning point for most people, and we pray that.
So thanks, Antoine, and thanks everybody out there, and God bless everybody.
God bless.
And thank you, and have a great day, and like I said, a very happy anniversary.
Thank you so much, guys.
Antoine.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody. Thanks for
Bye.
tuning in.